Hi everyone, my name is Gina, and in this video I'm going to go through step by step how to submit your code for your programming assignment to GitHub Classroom. Now, if you haven't worked with Git or GitHub before, I advise you check out some of my other videos to get more familiar with what is version control, why do we use Git, and what are some of the Git commands that we're going to use to get our code up into GitHub. Now, there are two prerequisite steps that you'll need to do in order to follow along with this video. First off, you'll have to have a GitHub account. So if you don't have one, head over to github.com and make an account. Secondly, you'll have to get a hold of the programming assignment link for GitHub Classroom. So that's something that your instructor will have to provide you with. How I set up my GitHub Classroom assignments is right in line in the specification for the programming assignment. I have a section called GitHub Classroom Setup. You can see I'm in a specification called PA1, Programming Assignment 1, and here's this section. Now in this section, I paste the link that is unique to this programming assignment. So this link is specific to this semester's PA1 for this class. So you'll need to get a hold of this link as well in order to accept the GitHub Classroom assignment, make a repo, and submit your code. While you're working on that, let me provide a little bit of background information about what GitHub Classroom is. Before this semester, you likely turned in your programming assignments by zipping up all of your files and making a compressed zip file, or maybe making a tar file, some archive file, and uploading that to a learning management system like Moodle or Blackboard or Canvas, something like that. If you've never taken a programming course before, then just imagine how would you turn in, say, an essay for your English class, right? You'd upload like a PDF or a Word doc to some submission portal in a learning management system like Blackboard, Moodle, Canvas, etc. So GitHub Classroom is an alternative to doing that upload where you use Git and GitHub in order to submit your assignments. And it's a really great tool because it forces you to work a little bit with Git nearly every day, or all the times you're working on your programming assignments. And that's really how you learn to use a tool. And I also love Git and GitHub because if you use it properly, then you'll have backups of different versions of your code that you can go look at or revert back to if you need to. All right, so now you should have your link. The first thing you'll do is click on that link or open that link in a browser. The first time you accept a link in a GitHub Classroom, it's going to prompt you to join the classroom. So this is the name of my GitHub Classroom here. It's got the name of my university, it's got the name of the course, and then it's got the name of the semester. Now, depending on how your instructor set this up, there may be a list of names of students in your course. And if that's the case, you should browse and find your name. Now, I do have some names down here, but I'm not going to show them to protect the names of my students. But if you see some names below this, then find your name and click on it. If you don't see any names, or you do see names, but you can't find yours, then you should click skip to the next step, which you can see right here. Okay, so just to recap, if you see your name, click on it. That'll make a link between your name and your GitHub username, which is helpful for your instructor and your graders. If not, just click skip to the next step. Next, we'll be prompted to accept the assignment. Go ahead and click accept this assignment. Now, this might take a little bit of time depending on how your instructor has this programming assignment set up. Mine's pretty quick because I don't have any starter code for this assignment, but if there is starter code, then it's going to take a little bit of time because GitHub is going to have to go clone the repository with the starter code into your new repository that it's creating. Once it's done, you'll see you're ready to go and a link to your repo. Now, before we click on this link, let me explain two important things here. First is this repository is called PA1-GSprint23. What's before the dash is the name of the assignment, PA1. What's after the dash is going to be specific to you. This is your GitHub username. So my GitHub username is GSprint23, That's why the name of my repository is PA1-gsprint23. The next thing that I'll mention is this repository does not live in my personal gsprint23 GitHub account. Instead, it lives in an organization account that your instructor has made and linked to GitHub Classroom. So right here, Gonzaga CPSC 122, this is the name of my organization that I've linked this spring 2020 classroom to. Okay, so if you ever need to go look for your repository in the browser, don't go to your, like gsprint23, don't go to your username account. You need to go to this organization in order to see your repo. Okay, so now click on this link and you'll see that repo. Okay, you can confirm that it's not in your personal account, it's in the organization account. If your instructor had starter code, then you'll see some folders and some files here that are already in the repo in GitHub. If your instructor is like me and didn't provide any starter code, then you'll see an empty repository. And this is what that looks like. All right, so all we need to grab here is really this URL right here. So there's a nice copy button on the side. You can just click on it to copy it to your clipboard. This is the crucial piece of information that we need in order to get our local files up into this repository in the GitHub Cloud. Now, it's pretty nice that this kind of splash screen here, or splash page, shows you all of these commands, because these commands right here, the ones I have highlighted, these are the minimal set of Git commands you have to run in order to submit your code to GitHub Classroom so that your graders can go grade it. These are the minimal 5 right here. So you could just copy these if you want. However, you're not going to want to just add the README. You're going to want to add other files or all of your files. Okay, so I don't encourage you to just copy these, but I encourage you to be aware that these are the 5 commands you will need to run. Not necessarily matching these, but similar to these. What I like to do is actually copy this second box down here. It says, or push an existing repository from the command line. These 2 commands are kind of long, and these are the 2 that I like to just copy. So either copy just the URL for this repository here, or copy these 2 commands here. All right, so head over to your development environment where you have some files that you've been working on for your programming assignment that you want to submit. So I have just a little hello world here in C++. I got to navigate to this folder, and then I've got to create that folder as a Git repository. I'll show you how to do that. So what you need to do is in your command prompt or in your terminal, you need to cd into the directory that has your files you want to submit for grading. So mine is on the desktop. It's called PA1. So if I do an ls-al, I can see all of the files, both hidden and folders, in this directory. If you're on a Windows machine, you can run dir/a, and you can see all of your files and folders, including hidden ones. All right. Now, we're going to run git init, and this is going to initialize this folder to be a Git repository. If I run that last command again, ls-al if you're on Mac or Linux, I'm on Linux here, or if you're on Windows, you run dir/a, then you can see that running git init creates this hidden folder called .git. Okay, this hidden folder is what makes this folder, this directory, a Git repository. All right, now I'm going to add all of my files to be under version control. If you only wanted to add specific ones, you could run git add and then the name of the file. But if everything in this folder goes up into the GitHub repo for grading, then you could run git add space -A or git add dot, either one of those. Now, this next command isn't required in order to submit your code, but it's always nice to know about. Git status, it'll tell you the state of your repo. And so it says I have some changes to be committed. I've got 2 new files, main.cpp and a.out. So now I need to commit the changes in these files and slap a label on the commit. So I'm going to run git commit -m. The -m is for a message, and then in double quotes you put a message that describes all of these changes in these files that you added for staging. Initial commit is just kind of a nice first one to put in there. All right, so now if I run git status, okay, it says nothing to commit. Looks good. Now these files are now committed to version control on my local machine, but they are not up in the repo. So that's where we run the git remote add origin command, or if you have it on your clipboard, you can just paste it. Okay, so git remote add origin, and then that URL that for sure you copied, right? Whether you copied it from the top up here by itself, or you copied it with the git remote add origin command in front of it. All right, this makes a link between our local Git repo and our repo at this URL in GitHub. Next, I'm going to run git push -u origin master in order to push my code up to the remote named origin, the master branch. It's going to prompt me for my username to identify and see if I actually have the credentials to commit to this private repository in GitHub. So make sure you enter your GitHub username and then type in your password. And you probably won't be able to see any characters being typed. That's okay, it still is being typed in. All right, so you want to just check to make sure that you don't have any errors. 100%, done. Looks good. Now head over to the browser and refresh that page for your GitHub repo, and you should be able to see all of the files that you just committed. Great. So now let's say we make some more changes. Oh no, we forgot to comment our code, or that was only just, the first part of the assignment, and now we're going to work on the second part. Let's just make some change to one of our files in this folder under version control. I'll just say like another cout statement, just some change. Just compile it real quick to make sure that I didn't break anything. Don't want to submit broken code. Looks good. Okay, so now I want to get this up in the repository because this is the version of my assignment that I want to be graded. Here's all I have to do. Git add -a or git add dot, git commit -m, and another descriptive label for these changes. I'll say added my last cout statement. I don't know, something like this. Describe what you just did. And then now I can just run git push because I've already made that link between which remote I want to push to and which branch of the remote I want to push to with my git push -u origin master command up here. It's going to prompt me for my username again, password again. Oops, I screwed that up. Now I'll head back over to my repo, refresh, and there's that latest commit 41 seconds ago. Awesome. Now before I close this video, there's one more thing I want to show you how to do, and that is pretend to be the grader. So in order for the grader to grade your submission here, he or she has to clone or copy down these files to their local machine in order to run your files, right? So you just want to double check and make sure that everything that's in this GitHub repo is exactly as you want the grader to see, compile, and run when he or she grades it. I call it pretending to be the grader. So here's what I encourage you to do right before you say, great, I'm done, is head over to this clone or download button. You can just click download zip and it'll zip up all of your files in this repo and you can download it to your machine, you can extract it and compile and run it. Or the more Git way to do this is to simply copy this URL here. Just click the copy button. Navigate to some new folder. So I'm going to back out one directory and just go to my desktop. Run git clone, and I'm going to paste that URL. And this is going to clone or copy down all of the files in that GitHub repo. You'll have to enter your password in again, okay, because this is a private repository, right? So not anyone could just go and clone this repo, even if they have the URL. All right, I'll do an ls. So here's pa1-gsprint23. This is the folder that my repo in GitHub was just cloned into locally. Okay, it should be an exact copy of my pa1 directory, but that's what we're going to go double check and make sure. So I'll cd into pa1-gsprint23. Here's my files. I'm going to pretend to be the grader. The grader is going to compile my code, make sure it compiles. He or she is going to run the code, do some testing, and assign a grade. So this does look like the version that I want the grader to grade, so I am good. All right, so that is how to submit via command line to Github Classroom. A few things to note is I have some other videos that you can check out about explaining all these different commands that we ran, and I plan to make some on how to recover from some common GitHub, and GitHub Classroom errors, and also how to make it so that you don't have to type in your GitHub credentials every time you go to push, because that can be obnoxious, especially if you're using the tool correctly, right? You want to be committing and pushing regularly. That way you have backups of your code and you're properly using version control. So to speed things up, I'll show you how you can save your credentials for GitHub so you don't have to enter them in each time. Thank you for watching.